What incorrect info did your sex ed teacher tell you? From my Bible studies teacher, a couple went to their GP suffering from what appeared to genital warts. Both were, they insisted, virgins before marriage. The warts were, quoth the teacher, the result of having anal intercourse, and the cleverness of God's punishment that all the evil bacteria could cause the condition. Another, my mother went to a convent. The nuns told the girls there that if they had been intimate with a boy, they should have a hot bath and pray for Mary to intercede so that nothing should happen. Mum said a number of girls dropped out that year, due to pregnancy. That the head of the penis was called the glanus. She was super excited and told us it was a little known fact since she saw it on one textbook and never saw it where else. I think that textbook had a typo. Glanus the good witch. That a man's penis can be big enough to penetrate a woman's cervix and get into her uterus. Actually it was a humble brag. Student. Coach. When you put it in, does it go up into the uterus? Coach. Now, your average man. No, but some guys. Yeah, he got busted for diddling eventually. Straight sex. 99% chance of pregnancy. Gay male sex. 100% chance of STDs and also hell. Lesbian sex. Doesn't exist. That men can't be raped because it's impossible to force an involuntary erection. My mom was pissed when she found out, and made the teacher correct herself in the next session. Your mother is a hero. You will never bleed through your underwear. She said girls can't come. When a boy asked her to clarify, he said you just mean they can't ejaculate, right? And she responded yes, also that, but female orgasm is a myth. That poor woman. I remember specifically my teacher told us the easiest way to get a girl to have sex with you is to get her drunk. This couldn't have been more than 10 years ago either. That a vagina has some kind of tube inside it, so when penetrating a vagina with a penis, the tube must be inserted into the penis hole before insemination in order for her to get pregnant. It didn't make sense then either. Sounds more like a coaxial cable than anything on a human. The reason moms and dads can have sex without a condom is because you can't get AIDS or STDs if you're in love. I shit you not. If you're worried about being pressured into sex, just keep things vertical because it's not possible to have sex without lying down. The teacher said all of that. The first part is good advice. That women don't die during childbirth. And that was just a myth. Obviously didn't watch the documentary Star Wars. She didn't die from childbirth. She died from SAD. HIV is smaller than the holes in a condom. There have been recent reports of naturally occurring holes in latex that are big enough for HIV to pass through. Why does CDC still recommend condoms to prevent HIV infection? The reports of holes in latex appear to have originated from an article in Science magazine about latex gloves, not condoms. Holes as large as 5 microns in diameter were evidently identified in latex used in gloves. However, gloves are only dipped in latex once when they are made. Condoms are dipped twice in latex. Gloves are allowed to fail the water leak test at a rate of 40 per 1,000, while condoms are only allowed 4 failures of the water leak test per 1,000 condoms before the entire batch is rejected. While holes large enough for HIV to pass through have been found in natural membrane condoms, latex condoms do not allow the HIV to pass through the condom unless the condom has been damaged or torn. Used properly, latex condoms are effective in reducing the risk of HIV infection. Not much, because he said, all you need to know is that you're too young to do it, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Dads of unruly daughters have larger penises. Only way that could be creepier is if your dad told you that. So start breaking some rules. For your mother's sake. Not exactly incorrect, but where I grew up sex ed was abstinence only. I could tell my teacher wanted to teach us more, but she wasn't allowed to. Unfortunate for all involved. Anytime a boy has his hands in his pockets, he's hiding his erection. Every boy in school made sure to always have their hands on show from that day onwards. The real misinformation here is that erections are something to be ashamed of. The first time I took a sex ed class was okay, but the teacher was very traditional for lack of a better word. He told us about what it was: condoms, STDs, abstinence as an option, pregnancy, and the class for the most part felt pretty informative and not judgmental. And then some kid raised his hand and asked about anal sex, and the teacher said, "Oh, you mean gay sex?" And he said, "No, I mean anal sex," and then the teacher said, "That's how gays have sex, it's gay sex." And then he talked about lubes and how you can also lube for vaginal normal sex. And then someone else asked, what if a man and woman have anal sex, and he said then the man is secretly gay. And he was dead-centered on that way of thinking. Women don't want to have anal sex, only a gay man would pressure a woman into gay sex so he can find her attractive. That's how you hear about gay men having kids before being found out as gay. They start with gay sex and finish normally so they can have kids and appear normal. There was a collective cringe from most of us, but I wonder if anyone in that class or in another now thinks like that. Till my boyfriend is secretly gay. Shit. And if you like it, you're secretly a gay man too. I don't wanna talk about it, and you already know what's what. Watch this video and I'll give you the answers to the test after. We had this class for 3 months and he never took any questions. That you can get pregnant through any type of sex. Anal, oral, EXT. When we were 8 we were given an impromptu lesson on it, and I asked, where do girls wee from? My teacher told me they wee from the same place as boys, so I believed girls wee from their penis. Not wrong, just not explained well. I was told that condoms increase your risk of pregnancy. Also, fellatio can get you pregnant because the sperm knows where to go. Yes, that girl got stabbed and whatever, but I feel like the stabbing was the bigger deal than the pregnancy at that point. You can't abort a stab wound. 8th grade. The teacher said that a girl can't get pregnant while on top because gravity wouldn't let the sperm go up. Curious about the pregnancy rates in your class after that little gem. That you can't pee with an erection. I thought that she meant boys were literally physically unable to do that. Not that it was just difficult. So the first time I did it, I thought something was horribly wrong with me. I had a teacher that told me that too. I told her she was wrong, and she told me I was wrong. I told her I'd prove it, and she wrote me up. What kind of teacher tries to argue with a boy about something like that? How can she possibly think she knows more than the one who actually has a penis? The kind whose husband has been lying to her for decades. Quick honey, I need a blowjob so my bladder doesn't burst. That it is impossible to pee with an erection. Of course it was a female teacher who told our class this. Every time this question comes up, there's a bunch of guys who bring this up, myself included. Why the hell are our female sex ed teachers so convinced of this? I don't really know if this properly answers the question because it's more the teacher's subjective opinion rather than incorrect info, but whatever. So in grade 9 we had a 2-ish week long unit on sex ed during gym class. Instead of going to the gym and playing dodgeball, we were looking at anatomically correct diagrams of boobies and peepees. Closer to the end of the unit, our teacher brought in 2 nurses from a local clinic to teach us about STDs, STIs and safe sex practices. Both nurses were older women that seemed to despise us teenage boys. We looked at a bunch of nasty pictures of infected genitals for a while when one of the nurses, abruptly, went on a rant about how one of her friends slept with a guy in high school. They got married. They were each other's first and only. All of the sudden her friend gets an STD and goes to the doctor. She was able to piece together that her husband had been cheating on her with someone else, and that's how he gave her an STD. After the nurse was done her story, she just glared at the class of young men and straight up tells us that we should never be allowed to have sex. I think her words were men should never do it. Never. So in short, men aren't allowed to have sex anymore because one guy was a douche. That friend was definitely her. That condoms were 80% effective per time of use. And that was only if you use them correctly. Actually, condoms are 98 to 99% effective over the course of a year if used correctly. Her theory was that 1 in 5 times you had sex with a condom would result in pregnancy, or at least that's the lie she told. I never thought very much of her, and this certainly didn't help. By her logic, if you had regular sex using condoms, you were basically guaranteed to start a baby in a few weeks. buy a box of 20 and just throw away every 5th condom. Duh. 10th grade. A biology teacher was answering questions and was really confident in the answers she gave. Playman asked her what's the fastest way a girl can reach orgasm, to which she replayed, everyone is different but it takes at least an hour for a female to reach orgasm. I remember 3 of my classmates having that bitch. Are you high face? Periods don't hurt. You. Yes they do. I realize some people don't cramp even if I've never encountered a person without cramps but still warn us. I thought I was dying the first time I had it. Oh, and they told us nothing about vaginal discharge. I thought I was peeing myself a little for so long. My mother set me straight about everything, but I'm still mad that I was told so little. Any kind of unprotected sex will 100% always result in pregnancy and AIDS. AIDS. Possibly not in that order. Certain teacher would omit the part about protection and imply that this was the inevitable result of sexual contact of any kind. Kids know when you're trying to scare them. The whole auditorium would roll their eyes in unison.